classroom that never ends. This story takes place in an old high school in a small town in Northern America, where the school has been standing for over 100 years. It's built on land that was once used for military experiments during World War II. Over the years, strange stories have surrounded the school, but the one we're about to hear shook the entire community. In 1995, at Riverside High School, a student named Emily Parker, an outstanding and intelligent girl, disappeared one morning in the fall. At first, people thought she was sick, but when days passed and Emily didn't show up, the anxiety started to grow. After a week, Emily was still unreachable. Everyone was confused, but soon after, some students in her class began hearing strange noises after school hours. Footsteps echoing in the hallways, desks moving, and whispering voices that couldn't be explained. These occurrences only happened in Emily's classroom, and the teacher seemed unaware of it. A few weeks later, a group of students, including Michael, Sarah, and James, decided to stay after school to investigate. They were curious about the strange sounds their classmates were talking about. They snuck back into classroom 12B one late afternoon when the sky was beginning to darken. As soon as they entered, the atmosphere in the room shifted drastically. A chill filled the air, even though the weather outside was warm. They heard creaking desks, but when they looked around, there was no one there. Suddenly, Michael noticed a piece of old, torn paper on Emily's desk, even though the desk had been empty for weeks. On the paper were faded words, "I will never leave." The group quickly left the classroom, but as they walked down the hall, they heard a loud noise behind them. The classroom door slammed shut, even though no one had touched it. Michael, who was becoming more suspicious, decided to dig deeper into Emily's disappearance. He started looking into her records at the school office. After some investigation, he discovered that Emily had died in a tragic accident one stormy evening. She was hit by a runaway truck while walking home from school. However, what was strange was that no one at the school or in her family could confirm the exact time of the accident. The teachers who had taught Emily didn't even remember her. This made Michael even more suspicious about the school's strange occurrences. A week later, Michael decided to return to classroom 12B one late night, bringing a camera to record any strange occurrences. As he entered the room, the lights were on and the air was still cold as it had been before. Suddenly, Michael heard a faint voice calling his name. "Michael? Michael." He turned around and saw a shadowy figure standing in the corner, long hair covering its face. As he approached, Michael realized it was Emily. She stood there, her eyes wide open, staring at him with an eerie gaze. "I can't leave. I never did," she whispered in the cold air. Terrified, Michael ran out of the room, but as soon as he stepped into the hallway, the classroom door slammed shut once again, as if some invisible force was keeping it closed. He felt as if something was chasing him, and from that moment on, he never dared to return to the school at night. One day, Michael met an old teacher at the school, Richard Thomas, who had taught at Riverside for over 40 years. Mr. Thomas shared a story that few knew about. Riverside High was built on the grounds of an old military testing area from World War II. The souls of those who had perished in horrific events seemed to haunt the land. He also revealed that Emily wasn't a normal student. After investigating, they discovered she was a trapped spirit because she hadn't completed her task. Emily's story was a warning to others at Riverside. If they didn't resolve their unfinished business, they too might be trapped there forever. Michael could never bring himself to return to Riverside again. However, whenever he passed the school at night, he could still hear the faint footsteps echoing in the hallways, and sometimes the lights in classroom 12B would flicker on, as if Emily was still waiting for someone to help her move on. Emily's story remains etched in the minds of many, and Riverside High continues to be a place where the restless spirits of the past still linger.